If you're a leader, you need to hear this. Great leadership isn't about having followers. It's about making more leaders. The real measure of leadership isn't about power or position. It's about impact and influence. The best leaders uplift, mentor, and empower others to reach their full potential. Leadership isn't about control. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued, inspired, and ready to grow. Remember this. If you treat your employees like they make a difference, they will. Join us in transforming leadership into a movement. Watch this video and see the incredible difference it makes when leadership is about building leaders, not followers. What's the best leadership advice you've ever received? Drop it in the comments.
Welcome to Building Resilience. I'm Jose Pereira, your host. This is the place where true leaders are forged, where stories of adversity turn into lessons of strength, and where faith, courage, and resilience come alive. Each week we bring you voices that inspire, challenge, and equip you to lead with an unbreakable spirit. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement. And it begins right now.
Welcome everybody to the Building Resilience podcast. Welcome to this podcast because this is the podcast where we explore the tools, the mindset, and the leadership of the principles of people who have gone through adversity, but they thrive. So I'm your host, Jose Pereira. I'm a former CEO of Cinco Petróleo. I'm a hostage, international survivor, and now I'm considered a leadership coach. So today I have a very special guest with me because she is a person that always is talking about neurodiversity, mental health, and leadership intelligence. So I'm going to have here the introduction to Valeriya. Valeriya, your last name is difficult for me to pronounce, so I'm going to give you to do it. I always mention the person, how I met my guest, because normally the person that I bring to my show are persons that are already connected with me in several ways. Maybe I have been guests in their podcast, or we have having interaction. So Valeriya and I got connected to this social media. She's currently in Norway. Anyway, and when I met her, I remember her saying, "Oh, wow, you're in Norway," because the mother-in-law of my son lives in Norway, in Bergen. And you know, I'm very familiar with that. And when we had the first talking was in the days that Maria Corina Machado has flew to Oslo to receive her Nobel Prize of Peace. And for us, I being Venezuelan, wow, was like an honor. So it was like a great connection. So Valeriya, the mic are used to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much. It's really a very special journey between you and me, and that's why even more evidence appeared between Norway and Venezuela, and this special time. And we know there is always a right timing for meeting right persons. It's the law of God and attraction and the frequency and energy. That's why we can sit here today, me in Norway and you are in Houston, I would guess, and you are proud Venezuelan, I'm proud Ukrainian, but the frequency and the core values which are granted in our hearts, those seeds that could really grow up to resilience, they make us as one family. And after, especially you've been sharing your story, my podcast, so I'm so privileged and thankful. It was so amazing show for me. I could learn so much from you, and now you're my role model. You're one of my angels, and I'm always mentioning you now to my new guests. And you know, it's how tribe and family really can grow up across the continents. But as I said, the core values, what we are going also to touch upon today, they are the most important connection between our hearts and between our souls and minds, and I'm sure soon also bodies. We can meet, we can hug each other and be reunited and make even more impactful magic. Thank you so much for hosting me. Really great privilege and honor. Thank you, Jose. Angel. Now, you know, always when I'm chatting, you know, I'm just calling you my angel. Do you know that?
Yeah, Valeriya and I to my audience, because I've started that nonprofit that is called Angels Helping Earth, because I'm Jose Angel, and she jokes with that. And you know, by the way, yesterday I had the connection to the person that you introduced with him, so we are going to have a talking, and he's going to be a great guest to my show too. So we're in that conversations.
Amazing.
Valeriya, starting to talk about let's start talking about who you are so the audience can understand who you are because you're a Ukrainian, you have been a top model, now you are in Norway doing your studies. So talk a little bit about you.
Yes, thank you so much. As probably people could watch a little bit of my shows, which is called Diversity is the Game Changer, where you were honorable guest. So I'm not speaking that path. I'm also presented. I do believe that I'm diversity myself. How I'm joking XXL. I mean, in my action. Nowadays, I'm a PhD researcher and actually very close to my PhD defense about how we can leverage diversity management for organizational sustainable performance. And it's more kind of industrial focus, and I'm teaching, coaching, and mentoring executives how to perform sustainably in this very special, challenging, especially mentally challenging times and conditions. And it starts from the cultural diversity impact and gender diversity impact, but also because I do believe very strongly that life happens not to us but for us, and the path has changed not slightly but actually quite in a massive way 2 years ago when I was through one of my severe OCD neurodivergence episodes, and I'm sharing now very honestly. It's actually why I'm trying to catch everything together, because the most important now for me, yes, I'm proud Ukrainian. I'm a mother of two girls that I have adopted many years ago from Ukraine, and they have also neurodivergence. They have special which I called mental uniqueness, and me appeared as well. So that's why I'm really trying to position myself now like a passionate advocate for watching at our neurodivergence from strengths-based model than from limits-based model in so many ways, in self-management, in development leadership, in organizational context like corporate training, in personal growth management, in self-management every day, what I'm doing with myself, being a role model for my friends and for my kids. So actually main focus now it's about making these topics like neurodiversity and mental health not just like optional well-being topics. It's absolute not optional. It is the must, and it is the first what we can and should teach ourselves first of all, and actually this young generation, because I can watch myself every day now. I've been also shared now before our show that actually it's a little bit challenging time in my family right now, because my daughter, one of them, she suffers from mental challenges and even with suicidal traits, and I'm doing a lot every single day with the not just raising awareness about this, but making really impact. And I'm so happy that you invited me today, especially today, that I can talk even more openly and encourage parents to not be kind of in a blind spot of this problem, because it's a huge problem now all over the world. And we have talked more and more openly, because it's a lot of stigma, prejudice. How you have shared on my show, you remember I thought I made in Soviet, and actually it was kind of a shameful even to mention a word, mental issues or something. And you shared also bravely with me that in your country and Venezuela, especially if you're a man, a guy, a CEO as well, to ask about therapy and even to acknowledge that you have mental challenge, it's also kind of still stigma and still weakness. But I am very passionate advocate for today that it's a strength, and we should really be united together to impact more and more how we can turn this special neurodivergence into our, let's say, superpowers, how we can leverage them, that we also people with neurodivergence not can just survive and adapt all the time, but thrive and feel seen, respected, and equally treated in society. It's kind of short story.
Let me tell you something. It's very important that what you say, because as I mentioned when I was a guest in your show, that for example in Venezuela, and not only Venezuela, I believe it is in all Latin America, because it's a taboo talking about mental health. And if you're a man, even it's even worse, because remember we have the macho culture. We're macho man. So a macho never has a mental breakdown. So
No.
it becomes a really big issue because the people don't talk about this, and this create what I call the generational trauma, because you're gonna be transmitting that trauma to your kids, the generations to come. And that's the way I decided to start my nonprofit, talking about that. But in other side, that the youth, or the mental health issue with the youth, and the suicidal thoughts is a real issue, because one of the biggest challenge is that normally the kids don't talk about this, that the parents don't ask. So you have some signs, some red flags, you need to talk with them, because I have my particular case, or as you mentioned, I also have my daughter. She had some mental issues, and when I was in my hostage situation, it was exploded to her. So, and even myself, when I came back, I had all those PTSD events that I went through. So, in the way you talk more open about this, you're gonna be doing a favor to all the spectrum, how really this has to be treated very open. Now, talking about neurodiversity, because you have been having interesting topic about how neurodiversity can be combined with leadership. So tell me a little bit about that. It's interesting, that point.
Yes. Thank you so much. It's really very interesting and crucial and important topic, I do believe, which I'm advocate through my research, and not try, but also make impact on different executive cultures, because we are talking about sustainability everywhere now. It's not, almost, I do believe, overkill. It's been like kind of so trendy word, especially in Scandinavia. I know it's a little bit maybe less in America and Southern America, but in Scandinavia, everything absolutely should be sustainable. And people put so much it's in vocabulary, even maybe knowing really what it means. And statistically, still, even according to Stanford research, 80% of people, when they mention sustainability, they refer immediately to environmental impact. It's pollution, it's CO2, gas emissions, and of course, this is very right. But we all know that even pollutions and all their footprint and impact causes by what? Happens by what? By our human footprint impact on everything what we are doing. And behind all of our actions, it's actually our mindset. And it's really our approach how to make decision, right? And how actually to handle ourselves, especially when it's risky situation, especially when it's a lot of pressure. And everything starts actually from our thoughts and our behavior, right? And it's kind of small puzzles, maybe, like if we talk about something and then we break down to molecules and atoms, but everything starts from there anyway.
Yeah.
I'm advocating but sustainability, it's a holistic approach. It's actually triple bottom line, which was coined by John Elkington from Netherlands in 1996, even when people never heard about sustainability. And he claimed that it's the holistic, harmonical, actually balanced system and framework between people, profit, and planet. So yes, it's environmental, economical, and social part of that. And for me, it's very important to advocate for the social sustainability part, where actually comes our diversity traits, be not in a sameness position, but actually not like DI, all this, labels, or this is backlash was in America because of its sake that we should get involved and recruit and do everything with diversity, but just for diversity. No, I'm not talking about that, even in leadership domain. I'm just break down and explain corporations or people, even I'm talking with teenagers now. Sustainability, it's actually long-term conscious, responsible decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And they are actually impact our environmental footprint, our, of course, economical, how we can proceed in economical, the support this, and social part. It's people profit planet, but we should start from people, because you and me, you know that everything what's going on, even in the big rooms of decisions, right, like highest one or the highest level, it's because of storytelling, and it's because of narratives, and it's because of human still connections, right? Because we can write a lot of policies, we can, yes, talk of course about numbers and revenues, but actually if the healthy organizational culture, or even in team, or even in small partnership couples, are not healthy, so we cannot impact both environmental part and economical part in a healthy and sustainable way. So we should start from the leadership, from human-centered position, frameworks, or model, or relationship, and for that we should start actually from what? From self-managing, from us self, like you said brilliantly. You understood that, okay, now this has happened in my life, now I have this context, and I have to take responsibility to be a responsible father, friend, CEO, after being a hostage, right? That you were a plan for therapy, you were open, that you were actually so brave, so you turned, because by being a leader, you are always responsible role model, and especially you, so many people from all over the world, they are watching up to you and listen to up to you. And can you imagine how much impact you are doing by being Jose Angel every single day? But you have to do tremendous job and still doing every single day. It's how conscious, deep human leadership actually should act. And for me, neurodiversity management, it's the core. Actually, it's first of all, neurodiversity and mental health in corporative and in leadership domain. It's not just HR or well-being topics. Like, you know, always like we are talking about diversity, just recruitment is just statistic, and okay, talk with our HR department. No. Their leadership, their decision make and performance topics. Because
sometimes the people use it like only because maybe there is a law that you have to comply, so then it's only a number.
Yeah. It's exactly because, you know, my PhD actually not theoretical, industrial, and it means actually it's evidence based. I've been conducted a lot of interviews with CEOs and executives all over the world, and the first when I'm asking about and referring to diversity, so the answer typically always they actually prepare in advance the statistics, the numbers for me, and then it's cultural, ethnical diversity, and then it's gender diversity. And the next question when I'm asking, yes, but do you have any strategy, diversity management, how you leverage benefits of the people that actually really possess diversity of perspectives and expertise, and if we summarize all this knowledge and can turn them into performance, into numbers, revenues, and everything, how actually this strategy is applied. And then the problem, then you know, we are working on that, but we are not there yet. And then also I'm asking, yes, but do you know the purpose and how actually you can identify what kind of diversity you actually need and already have? Because if you have it but you don't leverage it, you don't have any benefits. And maybe even opposite, if you don't do anything with diversity, like you remember you have said during our show that it was your core values to lead from a human side, because you have had more than 44 ethnicity under your belts. And if you didn't do anything with that, and you were not aware about what kind of diversity, how much, you knew exactly that what you have, and you have to really address it, right? But if you have so much, of course, different minds, different thoughts, which can be brilliantly merged to create something innovative and really create and sustainable, but you don't do that, it can be culture clashes, it can be really problematic. And with neurodiversity,
No, I want to say something before I forget, because when you were talking about ethnicity, I want to tell you for the audience to understand how this can work really very well. I remember during my path in the oil and gas when I was working with all this culture, I was assigned to a project working with the Japanese. Okay, you know the Japanese culture
Yeah,
is very has
special.
it's very special. By the way, I love the Japanese culture,
Mhm.
and I didn't know how that Japanese culture would impact the rest of my life. I worked with this project more than 30 years ago, and as of today, I still apply things that I learned with them. I stayed like 5 years working with Japanese. After I finished that project, I was assigned to a project with the Chinese. Everybody
Mhm.
knows that Japanese and Chinese are not, so very good friends. No?
Yeah,
And
yes, yes.
and it was funny because there were two oil fields, one beside the other, one
Mhm.
run by Japanese and the other run by Chinese.
Mhm.
And I had to go to a meeting to attend that meeting to get some kind of because we were having some discussion how we can do combined services between the two oil fields. So now I'm in the middle of a table sitting with a Japanese and a Chinese. And this guy were talking, very friendly. And when I finished the meeting, I was going to the office with a Chinese that is now my boss. And I asked him, "Oh, I got surprised how you got so good relation with the Japanese." And you know what the guy told me? This is business.
Ah!
So he didn't care. He said, "This is business." But let me tell you, when you do things from the human side, you can make this thing happen. And
Yeah,
and and after that, I really learned during almost my years that the way you can connect with the people is always in the human side. No matter what ethnicity, no matter what culture, no matter what religion, the people will connect in the human side. And this is the way that truly believe. So when you're talking about how neurodiversity or any gender diversity can be leveraged is a smart thing a good leader can do, because he can leverage that, and at the end will be a positive impact for the company at the end, and the numbers are going to be better. So that was my takeaway.
yes, yes. Thank you. Exactly what this is my big advocacy also when I'm talking in corporative environments and the conversation I'm taking into executive rooms, that you should understand that yes, cash flows, it's the oxygen of organizations. We know that, but organizational culture, it's nervous system.
Mhm.
And we know that if nervous system it's unhealthy or unmanaged, even like oxygen in input will be destroyed, will be damaged. I could see so many corporative actually collapse and clashes, not due lack of revenue, but it was toxic leadership, it was radical exclusion, it was culture where neurodivergent even was not mentioned, and well-being topics, like I've mentioned already, it was kind of optional. And the target mission and vision, first of all, it was profit, then it was policies, and then people, they should totally automatically, like robots, adopt to all that. And then the leaders, they didn't actually see the point to invent in this, how they say, social or soft topics, because then people, when they know that actually they are put already in this environment, they should compete on each other and they get special bonus. So it's already more than enough. But then I said, yes, of course, to give sometimes bonus and encouragement to people, it gives them kind of fuel. But the team building, if you want to achieve something as a wholeness, as a team, you should also make special environments that people should create safe and trustworthy environment, and they look up to you and they look up to leadership, and they first of all, it should be like double way road, because you have to establish this environment that people can share the knowledge, and especially there to share different type of knowledge. And like you said, it's very different cultures, like from made in Soviet, even still Ukraine, other cultures, when they move to Scandinavia. Scandinavia, it was subject of my thesis of MBA. I made the comparative analysis between trust-based, transparent Scandinavian management model and Eastern Europe, still focused on control, hierarchy, corruption, and absolutely no transparency, with a lot of big bosses with big pants, like, to sign contract immediately because they believe still they are icons, they're idols, they are gods. They can immediately decide almost on their moods every day, and collective decision making in Scandinavia. So it's two different parts. It's kind of culture, but when they try to merge project and they sit even around the table and have interpreter in English, like you said, Chinese and Japanese, like Scandinavian in Eastern Europe, they do believe they discuss the same topic. They do believe out of the room that actually they came to the same agreement. But when I talk, because I was kind of merging between these two cultures in very huge project, and I was talking with them like you after in one room, what they believed actually was the agreement and conclusion, and Scandinavian and Ukrainian, it was totally different. It was almost like they were sitting and never had even translator. They were like totally speaking different languages. And then I said, you know what? But it's here, like you said, it's soft topic, it's culture. It just always, they're just joking about it, but it's not a joke. Then it's revenue collapse that, it's how much actually this project really or put on hold, or actually they really postponed, and it's huge numbers, huge numbers.
For a cultural difference, you can kill a project.
Exactly.
Literally, you can kill a project. Yes, you're
the
right.
Strategy, it's, your mission, vision, organizational culture, it actually, it's your vision, mission, and everything for the breakfast. Really, you can put all strategy on the papers, but if you don't establish this special and multi-based culture where you have to deliberately manage every day, just project is killed, like you say.
Let me mention something that for me is fascinating what you're saying, because something that I discovered yesterday. I was talking yesterday with my wife. I begin to, after the situation in Venezuela with the capture of Nicolas Maduro unfolded on January 3, the things in Venezuela has been changing. Now the Americans are more involved, and that we're going back to what was in the 30 years ago. We were very American culture. That's going to come back, okay? But so I decided to begin to talk about my oil and gas experience and how I see this new revival. And I begin to post every morning a 5 minutes video in Spanish, trying to educate the Venezuelan people. And that video began to get traction and views and a lot of comments, and I tried to begin to answer the comments. Valeriya, thousands of questions, thousands. And I stayed during hours in the night reading all the questions and trying to answer. But I found, see this what the culture is. I found something that I was not aware. Because during all these years, the diaspora of Venezuela, like the Ukrainian, has been growing and growing. Ukrainian because of war, and we because of the economical and political crisis. So now we have more than 9 million Venezuelans all over the world. So what's happening? All those millions of Venezuela that are all over the world. In Norway, there are a lot of Venezuelans right now too. So you have Venezuelans today all over the world. So what has happened? That these people has been changed their mindset, because they have to adapt to the new culture where they're living, know the rules of law of those countries. And we had in the past something in the Venezuelan that we were trying to always do the things on our Venezuelan way, But the guys that are in Venezuela are still doing it, behaving that way. So now there's going to be, when these people return back through the democracy to Venezuela, all those millions of people, there's going to be a cultural shock between the Venezuelans that have been living outside the country and the Venezuelans that have been living inside the country. It's not going to be a political problem. It's going to be a cultural problem, because now you have people like me, have years outside Venezuela, they now have a different vision. And that is something that the culture is, in that diversity is so important. And people always diminish the importance. And as you mentioned, you can kill a project because of that, because you can not understand the parties, and you kill the project because
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you so much for giving this really actually beautiful and concrete example, because I'm also involved in many Ukrainian organization, non-profits, and Embassy of Norway in Ukraine, and I was keynote speaker in Recovery Ukraine conference in Rome this June, and we have been discussing actually the same problem which you have mentioned already, and it's now, can you imagine, almost 6 million, I believe. I do believe more. It's some people still are maybe not identified. I don't know. They are also on fleet. They are all over the world due to the war.
So Ukrainian and Venezuelan today has more or less the same thing. A lot of millions of Ukrainian, a lot of millions of Venezuela all over the world. Here in the US, there are a lot of Ukrainians right now.
And you know what? We have even kind of more maybe challenging situation, because even now I can watch, I can witness that people who are still in Ukraine, and they, what kind of position and condition and mental and economical and in all possible way that are experiencing a defeat in our country, and people who made the choice of all different decisions to move. And I'm not approaching that from the judgmental point of view, but already between us there are a lot of, it's not like kind of civil warrior, but it's already very close to kind of civil crisis, because so many people now, after so many years, they already start kind of attacking people who are outside, and it's more and more like misunderstanding and kind of, what do you know, you have chosen to move your country, you have chosen.
That's the same situation that is happening in Venezuela. Exactly the same situation.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Maybe it was not that I had gained a lot of political knowledge about Venezuela, but I am afraid as well. What I actually trying to tell and lead our audience now, that I was discussing during this Recovery Ukraine, that we have to think really about structured, intentional, proactive diversity management when after actually the war is over, and so many people will be on their movement back. And like you said, first of all, yes, they have already integrated in so many societies all over the world. They learn language, they learned and gained a lot of very important useful skills that they want to bring back to Ukraine, and we would like to gain knowledge and benefit from these new skills. But how it will be challenging for us without really awareness that we have professionally managed them, because first of all, like you said, it will be so much clashes between people. Okay, now you are back, now you came back, why did you choose to move while I was here, and now you're going to teach me something while you were sitting like in freedom in another country. You understand what I mean? So it's
yeah. This is exactly, Valeriya, the same situation that we're going to face in Venezuela, because I had friends in Venezuela and have friends here, and now that people are complaining, you flew out of the country and we stayed here, we have been suffering here, now you're going to tell me what I have to do.
Exactly.
So that is a cultural barrier. And I see more challenge in that than the political thing between the government and the opposition. Because at the end, this is a challenge to the government or the opposition, because Venezuela had 25 years with a communist regime. Now it has to merge to the democracy. Again, with these topics that I've been sharing with the people, that people are exchanging with me, I have received some attacks. People say, no, what you're saying is not true, because we stayed here in Venezuela and we did this and that. And I said, my friend, the numbers don't lie. the country is ruined, everybody is under poverty, so you screwed it up. So you have to change your mindset because what you are saying is not true. After 25 years, the country is totally ruined, and that's where we are here today. So, because this is a problem that people, it's difficult that people make a change in their mindset.
Exactly.
But Valeriya, you talk about the 4E enables, correct?
Yeah.
There is a method. Tell me about that. What is exactly that?
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. I'm the founder of this method. A couple of them, but actually, I think this is most universal, which actually can be applied to so many types of. You can call it management, you can call it leadership, because for me, slightly difference between management and leadership, and people sometimes don't see actually the line, because management, it's kind of proactive action. You have to do, you have to organize, you have to put structure. And leadership, it's more about, because management usually, especially in the corporate or team domain aspect, you have to do something with yourself, but also something active with your team. But leadership, it's actually when more you lead, you like leader, you showcasing your role model. You should start with yourself, and then by your real example, not to change somebody, that people can be inspired of watching you, how you act, and then can really start changing. Because how many people who say, in this world now, they won't change the world without actually they want to start changing themselves.
Yeah, correct.
And this is the most challenging task, because they really do like this. Now I'm big boss. Now I go to the corporate and I start manage. But I don't want that anybody should challenge my mindset.
The change has to become before in you, then before the other. You cannot change other if you don't change yourself.
Exactly.
That's so true. So true.
And that's why my method actually starts. That's why I'm telling it can be applied for neurodiversity management. It can be applied for sustainable management. It can be applied for self-management, because the most important, even if we are talking about sustainability, big frame in corporate world, like I mentioned, organizational sustainability, it's frame people, profit, planet. But like I said, that most systems start with profit, policy, then people. But this method takes a different position, that organizational sustainability of performance should always start with people. And because it's without human and social sustainability, profit becomes, extractive, and these planetary commitments remain fragmented, because people, it's human-centered social sustainability circular framework. It starts from, it's actually four enablers. And the first one, E, is empathize. I call it management, empathize management, because for me, the most important, especially if you're a leader in nowadays, in small teams, big teams, corporations, even in the relation with other person, you should start from your heart. You should start not from prejudice, taboo, stigma, your own thoughts. You should start with beginners. You should start with empathy. This is the most important.
Yeah.
We're all different. It's exactly what actually when we were elaborating my show, it was your point of view. Absolutely. Start from your heart, from your human side, because we are all different. And especially when you have no idea about whether this person neurodivergent or he suffer or she suffer, because disability can be physical, and then we can see it, and disability or suffering or challenge can be unseen. And so many people now in our society really has so many challenges with you cannot see from the first sight. You have nothing actually. Really, you can watch a person who is close to you and he still or she can smile, but you have no idea what actually this person is going through inside. So you should start with
unless you have enough empathy to understand that person, and that person can openly talk with you, because that's where the difference comes. When the person has the openness to tell her, I'm having this issue, because that can happen. You have a very good manager, super intelligent manager, and one day you see that the guys go begin to perform it, not so well, and you don't see what's happening, and maybe you go and fire the guy, And maybe the guy is having a marriage crisis or a problem with his kids or something. So why don't you ask the question first? What's going on with you? And you can maybe learn what's going on with that person, and maybe you have some ways to help this. You're gonna have the most loyal employee forever after that.
Exactly.
So it's something that is even is a no-brainer when you do this way, because you now the people begin to trust you more, and that now you're gonna have a better organization. So it's a ripple effect when you do things with empathy.
Absolutely. So this is what I'm basically advocating. It's a loop. It's continually process. Actually, that's why when I'm having, if people would like to reach out to me after, and I do a lot of mentorship and consultancy about that. That's actually, it looks like a circle, and it's a loop. It's with a turning sign, like, inside, because you start from empathy, like you said, and then it can be really, it creates psychological safety in this environment where you operate. Then it's immediately you already put first bricks yourself for trust and belonging, and you show already ethical and anti-stigma leadership with empathy. And the second E, it's actually evolve or evaluate, because leadership, it's ever learning process. Every single day, a new situation, like you said, new thousands of emails, feedbacks, right? Risky situation, it's negotiations, it's decision making, it's interacting with different cultures. You always have to learn, and like I do believe in every single even conversation like you and me now, I'm always positioning myself both like a teacher a bit, and actually, but mostly like a student. I'm always trying to learn something new, because the knowledge sharing, it's actually the most powerful tool where you can learn, evolve yourself, really. And you can learn from mentorship, from books, from of course life situation, from story narratives of people. But you have to be open after empathy, actually, to embrace and learn from this person, not be judgmental, like, now I have done always in that way, I'm not going to change. No, life is changing every single day. It's new path, new breath, it's new small life. You cannot,
because this is one of the superpowers of a leader today, the capacity to be adaptive,
flexible.
The leaders that have that capacity to be adaptive are the leaders today are going to be successful. Exactly. That game changer, be adaptive, because that things are evolving, and you have to be,
like this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm teaching the leaders that you don't have to adopt, but you should learn to adapt, because adopt, it's like really when you move from one country to another country, or in a different situation, then actually you cannot be liked and served everything and to be like by everybody. You have to be flexible, you have to learn. Yes, you have to try to really be selective and radically now selected what kind of inputs take and actually use them. You should be so kind of filter, but you still, it's like integrity over applause. You should also keep yourself, but you should be able openly to evolve. So the third V, or the third E, the third E, actually, it's it's evaluate. I mean, after you start actually doing this path, this self-management process, you should be always also open for feedback. And sometimes feedback actually can be constructive and actually challenging one. And it's very nice. I do believe constructive dialogues where people dare to be open, and actually in your team, you don't need exactly 5 Valeriyas. I don't need in my team to solve the special solution. 5 more Valeriya mindset person, then it's a fine way. I need really people who can challenge my perspective. In togetherness, we can have this construction dialogue. But then I should actually have the point to take into construct healthy feedback. It's actually gold. People don't understand. Leaders, they should be open actually for the other person who can come and say, you know what, but I actually have also this perspective. Let's discuss, let's elaborate together. But exactly culture, in Soviet, everybody was punished, almost killed, if you were not agree with your patron or boss exam, right? Or it was Norwegian words. But in Scandinavia, it's otherwise. Actually, it's very encourageable even to come and say to boss, I have actually had some ideas how we can improve that. It will not be like...
What about the Japanese culture that blows the mind of the people? Because you have to have everybody on board. And if everybody's not on board, the things don't move on because everybody has to be collectively agreed. So, and this is very powerful. When everybody's on board with something, it takes time, but when the decision is made, boom, everybody goes in that direction.
Exactly. And when actually I started to work on the first project, which actually became to my PhD, it was the same. Now it's kind of funny story when everybody gathered, they're joking about that. But very first time, Ukrainians, they had no idea why all the time when they were so close to major decision, all of a sudden Norwegian, which they were just interim project management, outsourced to Ukraine, they like, stop, now we have to post to tomorrow because we have to call to headquarters to back to Norway and to discuss with everybody. And Ukrainian chefs and big bosses, they came with this big pan crown here. And like, what's going on? Are you not chef? You are not boss? You have no authority to sign now? I came myself, I'm here, and you tell me that you still need 1 more hour or day, you have to call somebody. So you are not actually, it was like really clash. They believe they were so weak, they could not decide anything themselves. That's why they need to call. You understand that?
No, but
I'm
it's culture. It's culture. Let me tell you, Chinese, because as I said, I was with Japanese and then with the Chinese. Chinese agree with you. Even they sign with you. But if for some reason the boss decides something different, they have no shame. They come back to you and say, sorry, we cannot apply that. But you already signed. The boss said no. So they don't have no shame. The boss is the boss, period.
Yeah,
but it's culture, and you have to understand that cultural difference. Because if you don't understand, as I said, you can kill the project. But Valeriya, we're almost coming to the end. So I have two things to say to you. The first thing is, what would be your recommendation to the leadership to handle better neurodiversity and mental health? That is a question.
Yeah. Again, it's a crucial one. It's very important. I think we are already on the right path and way. In some context, in some culture, we start talking and creating even more healthy arena where we can discuss that, right? Because how I already said that now leadership, modern leadership defined by uncertainty, pressure, complexity, and how leaders think, regulate, and can sustain themselves under very special pressure moments and conditions. It impacts everything: culture, ethics, trust, and most important, organizational sustainable performance. Profits, right? Yeah. So that's why neurodiversity, mental health directly shape how we think, how we make decisions, and perceive risk. And risk, it's also risk intelligence. It's very, very important. And when cognitive diversity, neurodiversity is unmanaged, really, and people and leaders even don't understand what's going on with them, so they burn out very fast. They usually suffer in silence. Their decision quality really decrease. Culture become reactive, not like based on feedback and adaptability, like we said, fragile, unsafe, and it leads to first cognitive collapse in people minds, right, instead of sustainable performance. That's why neurodiversity management, it's so crucial, it's so important. And awareness we raised, we talk about that, it's nice, it's already not halfway, but we start, but it's not enough. It should really be impact, not just awareness. And so, I mean, awareness about really tight connection between neurodivergence, mental health, and actually organizational performance, sustainability, or economical, so tight. So awareness without structure gives a very restrictive impact. So we should really emphasize on sustainable leadership, which requires like intentional neurodiversity management, building clear thinking and decisions structure with guidance with real active guidance steps, because neurodiversity management, it's not about like accommodation, about just awareness, about tokenism, about, again, like, okay, we know we do something, or we are aware, we start thinking about it. No, it's about this enables, which I actually have mentioned already. It's about enabling leaders to think, to decide, and sustain performance under pressure. They should start with themselves, really, because so many leaders actually and managers, they are neurodivergent without actually them thinking about that, and actually taking this decision to talk to themselves and make this 4E, which actually the 4E in this enable system we started, it was enhanced. Because when you go all this loop, like I said, empathize, evaluate yourself, and evolve, make feedback, and enhance all this, and go further and further in new situation, but start with yourself, right? So you can make really big impact on all type of performance in your company. And then it will be like ecological footprint, economical, better performance. But everything should start from social, human-centered leadership. And then you should start from yourself. That is...
Give me a quick question about, a quick answer about what is a myth about neurodiversity that you want to break?
I think the biggest myth, it's people still, they call us or them strange, with disabilities, with disorders. And we always act from two positions in our life by nature, from fear and from love. And everything what is unknown for us make us fearful. But actually, when we start from empathy, to open our mind, just to, like you said, being a little bit curious, ask, make people questions, even one single question: how are you today, and what do you need, how can I help you, can change everything. Because people believe if it's neurodivergent, something which is really new, unknown, it actually requires huge, massive adjustment, or actually, because we are so afraid of something we don't know. But to make the first step, it can be actually really not that challenging roads, just to show genuinely that you're interested in that person, because person, it's different. It doesn't mean person it's worse or scary. Actually, it's just to ask sometimes, and to make people feel seen and treated, respected for who they are. And then you, like you said, you can make loyal friend ever, loyal customer ever, loyal worker ever. He can come with 10 times actually ideas or performance or everything, just for this one comment per day, because he understood, oh wow, somebody really care about me. It's about MMFI, make me feel important.
Where people can find you, Valeriya? Where people can find you?
Yes. You can always reach out to me. I do love also interactions, and I always answer the comments. It's via LinkedIn, where we establish our beautiful contact. It's Valeriya Hjertenaes there. Diversity is the game changer. It's a podcast, so please also write to me. I'm always more than welcome to host new guests, because I do believe every single person in this world has unique voice, calling, mission, and vision, which really wants to be heard. It's so impactful. Every single, no matter when, and never dare, just reach out to me. And also Instagram, it's Valeriya Hjertenaes, or Mrs. Vulcan Geniality, because I won this Pride 2022. I still use this sometimes.
To my audience, she has a very rare combination of being a beauty model, being in that area, but it's a super brain. So I'm so honored to be with her. And well, we're coming to the end. In 1 minute, what will be the final words to my audience?
Do believe in magic, and make your magic with your own hands. And we girls, it's a lot of jokes about golds and diamonds and all this stuff. And I'm joking also that I made even special for girls this gem management. Gem, like gem, right? So it's actually started with gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. Then gem, right?
Okay.
So if you are sometimes just wake up in the morning and like, okay, what's girly, joyous, playful mood I have today, which we have to make ourselves, I do believe, especially in this challenging time. So if we really start our day from gratitude, empathy, and also for our soul mindfulness, I do believe we can make this world for the better place. So this is my, this is will be my advice for everybody. And like I mentioned gratitude, that's why my biggest gratitude goes to you today, to your family. And I'm so honored and privileged to now co-create this impactful magic with you. And I'm really looking forward that one day we can, it's now I wish for myself, this magic. I can
maybe
meet
I'm
with you and hug, because I'm a big hugger.
we can, I have a visit to Norway, depending, so maybe sometime we will meet there. Valeriya, this has been a wonderful connection, a wonderful show. I love it. We're coming to the end of tonight. So to my audience that are hearing this, contact her through LinkedIn, her Instagram, and she's very open. She has this podcast that if you feel that you can be a good guest, contact her. Valeriya, thank you for being with me.
Thank you, my angel. And I'm coming to Houston, that's for sure. We can also.
Okay, we'll meet here. Okay,
I love Houston.
I will travel you all over. Houston is a very big city, so you will have plenty of time to see Houston.
I used to live in Houston. I know Houston.
Okay.
In Katy. I live
in Katy. Katy Suela.
Yeah, in Katy Suela, yes. So yes. Okay. Maybe it's the right time again to be back to your show.
If you're a leader, you need to hear this. Great leadership isn't about having followers. It's about making more leaders. The real measure of leadership isn't about power or position. It's about impact and influence. The best leaders uplift, mentor, and empower others to reach their full potential. Leadership isn't about control. It's about creating a culture where people feel valued, inspired, and ready to grow. Remember this. If you treat your employees like they make a difference, they will. Join us in transforming leadership into a movement. Watch this video and see the incredible difference it makes when leadership is about building leaders, not followers. What's the best leadership advice you've ever received? Drop it in the comments.
Welcome to Building Resilience. I'm Jose Pereira, your host. This is the place where true leaders are forged, where stories of adversity turn into lessons of strength, and where faith, courage, and resilience come alive. Each week we bring you voices that inspire, challenge, and equip you to lead with an unbreakable spirit. This is more than a podcast. It's a movement.